Hey, what's up? It's Sunny. Welcome to Sunny's Geeky Grove, the podcast about all things geeky. In today's episode 39 of my podcast, I am going to be discussing the Lifetime show Witches of East End. It came out in 2013, and it had a 2-season, 23-episode run. But before we dive deep into this, hit that subscribe button if you've been waffling on doing it or happen to be new here. I post new episodes of my podcast every single Tuesday at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So, like I said, it was a Lifetime show from 2013 to 2014. There were 10 episodes in Season 1, 13 episodes in Season 2. It's currently streaming all episodes on Hulu. That's where I watched it. It stars Julia Ormond, Madchen Amick, Rachel Boston, and Jenna Dewan Tatum is how she was credited in there. Daniel D. Tommaso and Eric Winter. It's won 3 Leo Awards for production and costume design in a drama series, which is pretty cool. It's been nominated 5 times for Leo Awards as well. So the show centers around the Beauchamp family, Joanne, the mother, her sister Wendy, and her 2 daughters Ingrid and Freya. The 2 daughters do not know that they're witches. They lead seemingly average and quiet lives, until suddenly they discover their powers. Uh-oh, looks like Mama Jo has some splaining to do. So, the first thing that struck me about the show was the set design. If you ever watched the original Charmed from the 90s, this house will have an odd familiar feeling to it. This isn't bad, but it kind of does remind you of a better show right off the bat. That's never good. I'm not saying Charmed was a masterpiece, but the premise and execution was better from the get-go. Now, the set is beautiful. It's an old Victorian home. The layout is very different from the Charmed show. It has a lovely color palette. The set design is just so rich and full of just little trinkets and knickknacks, odds and ends that make it feel like a very lived-in home. It doesn't feel overwhelming with the amount of things on the set, but it does feel like a real house. It feels very comforting. And, you know, there's herbs and flowers hanging on from the ceiling, and there are wonderful vessels for things like there's vases and bowls and cups and different platters just everywhere throughout the set, and it's just, it has that really witch aesthetic, but also like just old-timey aesthetic, which makes sense when you think about it. If you've seen the show, which I doubt anyone has, it's just, it is wonderful. And the set is phenomenal. I really enjoyed that set piece because it was fun to look at, and they interacted with their environment well. So they used it in a way that wasn't just, oh, hey, here's a room. They actually interact with the set, which I always, enjoy. It doesn't always happen. Usually a set is just a set to move the plot along and not necessarily, something to make it feel like a real experience. If you get what I mean? Like, it seems normal for them to wake up and to grab something from the back of their chair, or to grab a coat from the closet, or pick up a coffee mug from the counter and go get a cup of coffee without saying, oh, fresh coffee? Oh, well, thanks for making it, or something like that, not just, it just feels instinctual and realistic. And that is something that I feel like we don't get a lot in TV shows, which is pretty interesting when you think about it, because usually don't think about it. I don't really think about that, but I noticed it within this show that they have these small little moments where it just feels natural and realistic that, hey, we're just picking this thing up over here and it's not part of the plot. It's just what a normal person would do. Now, in contrast to this really beautiful set piece, the acting in the pilot and pretty much throughout is horrible. Same with the writing. Oh my gosh, the plot or the pilot is just, oh boy, I just couldn't, the acting, the writing, it was not good. And there was enough intrigue and desire for me to keep going, but if I had just seen it and like didn't care about, witches and, oh, this kind of reminds me of Charmed, or, oh, hey, that's, that's Mad Chinamick, or Eric Winter, who's currently in ABC's The Rookie, I would not have pressed on with this show because that's how bad the pilot was. The characters are pretty unbelievable. They say some really weird stuff. They kind of speak in such a way that it's clear that it's not really natural speech, that they're cramming as much exposition into each sentence as they can. And there's just, I don't know, the only thing realistic in the plot, in the pilot, and the plot, was Ingrid's response to finding out she was a witch. She didn't want to be a witch. She wanted to continue to lead her quiet life as a librarian, shelve books, go home and flirt with the boy that she likes and just live a quiet, peaceful life. And, as much as I feel like, oh my God, I want to be a witch so bad. I want to shoot fire from my hands. Like, legitimately, I probably would not want to actually have magic. It would be too much responsibility. It would be scary. There could be dangers. Like, her response was refreshing and was actually, like, realistic, which was really, I'm going to say it again, refreshing. You don't get that often. You get, oh my gosh, I'm a witch. Oh, I've always wanted to be one. Or, whoa, so cool, I can do X, Y, and Z now. Like, she was not pleased. It kind of reminded me of how Elena from the Vampire Diaries reacted to vampires. She was freaked the heck out, and she did not want to be a part of it, which was also refreshing because it was a stark contrast to, Bella from Twilight being like, I know what you are. You're a vampire. I'm not afraid of you. Right, Ward? Like, Ingrid responding like that, chef's kiss. There's also a lot of force dynamics between the sisters, the mom, eventually the aunt, and then the Freya. She is played by Jenna Dewan. She is the daughter. And she has a fiancé named Dash, and he has a brother that he never told her about, Killian. And, oh god. There's a love triangle. If you didn't see it coming, then you don't watch a lot of TV shows from the mid 2000s, cause wow, 2010s or early 2010s, whatever. 2013 is when this came out, remember? And 2009 was The Vampire Diaries, which, speaking of, our brothers Dash and Killian are very reminiscent of the Salvatore brothers from the Vampire Diaries. Dash has the good, like, superhero hair, and he's really sweet and caring, and he's a doctor, and he does Doctors Without Borders, and he's such a good guy. He's the Stefan Salvatore, and Freya's our Elena Gilbert. And Killian, he's the dark, brooding, mysterious older brother. And he's got the floppy hair. You know the floppy hair from, like, yeah. He's the Damon Salvatore, and he's the hello brother. Like, he's the dark, mysterious, edgy, like, dangerous bad boy. And in the pilot, 2 scenes in, you have a love triangle. Freya wakes up. I had a dream about a boy. It was like I've known him my whole life. Like, oh, come on. Honey, stop. Obviously, this love triangle lasts basically the entire first season. And it's even there in the series finale, in a way. It's just, love triangles, obviously, were a very popular thing. I'm not entirely sure when the books were written, but, The Vampire Diaries came out in 2009. Twilight came out in, like, 2004. And, the love triangle aspect was a central part of Twilight, of the Vampire Diaries early seasons. Even towards the later seasons, it was still brought up every now and then. So it was a big cultural phenomenon. There's always a love triangle somewhere. And thankfully that trope is dying off. We don't need any more love triangles. I'm not going to rant about love triangles. I could talk about them all day, about how much I hate them, about how much I hate the tension that it causes, because it's just, I'll skip. But, as this season progresses, season 1, it does actually get better with plot lines and writing. The acting doesn't really improve. So our mother, Joanne, is played by Julia Ormond, and she is just so stiff. And she pulls odd faces during her scenes. I was never really sure which emotion she was trying to convey. I don't know. And it's not the actress's fault. I feel like it's the writing. But she's so stiff and wooden, and the characterization of the mother is just so bland. She wants to protect her girls, but she, doesn't let them know that they're witches. She's trying something different and, subverting the expectation of raising them as witches. And then when things go wrong, she just has this, like, that face you make when you smell something bad? Like, your face kind of scrunches up and your nose kind of crinkles. That's basically her face, like, the entire time, even when she's happy. And I don't understand the choices she made. Was she given a certain, like, clue from the writer's room? Like, hey, in season 3, we're going to do this with your character, but we need it set up from season 1. Because that's a possibility. They didn't get to that, but it's so weird. Every time she was on the screen, I just got so bored, and she's a main character, so I don't know. Obviously, I enjoyed the show. I watched it all. But she's just so weird. And I don't know. As the season goes on, we learn more about the Beauchamp women and their curse. And this is something that actually brings something new to the table. The various curses on the women are unique and actually something that might have been done in some respect in other shows, but not this well executed. Now, I'm not saying it was like utter perfection, but the curses are pretty different. Like, the 4 women all basically have a different curse. The daughters share a similar one, but, the mom, the daughters, and the aunt have these different things that affect their lives. And it really is something that's pretty cool. You learn about it. We get some flashbacks about like how it happened and how the curse was brought upon their family, who did it, and how they live with it. It's really well done. And whenever we see these flashbacks, we get more and more story about not necessarily just the women, but also other individuals in the witchy realm, which is extremely entertaining, and it's just so much fun. I don't know. Near the end of season 1, we actually learn more about witches in general, and they all actually come from Asgard. Yep, Thor's world. It's obviously different than Thor, but there are other creatures there too, not just witches and warlocks, which I hate that they have, witches or female warlocks. You're all witches, okay? Like, just, you're all witches. We actually find out that the Beauchamp women were royalty in Asgard, and the king is their father or grandfather, which was pretty cool. It was a nice revelation. But that's the end of season 1, basically. And season 2 is when it gets even weirder. So there's a creature that escapes Asgard, and it has tentacles. And it in one of the daughters, they they do it a lot. It's shown a lot on screen too. Obviously not graphic, but it was a wild turn in subject matter to me. I had to shut the episode off for a minute when it first happened. I was shooketh. I couldn't believe they actually went there. And it's a major plotline for a good portion of the first 6 episodes. 6 episodes! This tentacle creature sleeping with one of the daughters. Like, what? My mind was blown. I couldn't. Like I mentioned, the writing and acting have improved from the plot, but it still felt kind of campy, especially with the tentacle creature. Most of the actors seem to give subpar performances, like I explained with Joanne. Yikes. And Freya, played by Jenna Dewan Tatum, she is just kind of not very good. She's not bad, but she's not phenomenal. The standout actor for me was Mad Shinamik. She is best known for her role in the original Twin Peaks, or she's the wild and amazing mom Alice Cooper in CW's Riverdale. She is such a gem. Her performances feel real, and she does amazing work with the writing she's given. Her portrayal as Wendy is my favorite of the show, and she really does add depth to it all. Obviously, it's still campy and silly, but she makes the best out of her role. I freaking loved her. I loved her so much. Wendy was my favorite character. The wild ant. Overall, this show was wild from start to finish. It obviously held my interest, made me groan at the campiness, laugh, and there were actually even a few scenes that brought a tear to my eyes. I can definitely understand why it only lasted 2 seasons, but I kind of want more. It even ended with 3 huge cliffhangers for our characters, which makes me mad. It's like they pulled a My Name is Earl trying to get renewed, and it did not work. I am livid. I might actually have to read the books it's based off of to see how it differs and to see if I get a good ending. Let me know if you want to follow up on that. If you want my thoughts. That is where we are going to end today's episode. If you like this video, give me a like. If you dislike this video, leave a comment down below telling me. Hit subscribe if you would like to. It'll make me smile and happy, and that's really awesome of you. Ring the bell if you wanna. You can always follow me over on Twitter at Sunny Geeky Grove or Twitch, Instagram at Sunny's Geeky Grove. I make new podcast episodes every single Tuesday at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. A link to my Anchor profile is in the description box down below if you want another way to listen to me. I hope you have a truly amazing day. You really do deserve the best in life. You are amazing, wonderful, and valid. My name is Sunny, and you have been fantastic. Thank you so much for listening. Bye!